How you going, guys? Well, I just thought I'd give you a bit of a rundown on the DIY bike rack that I've made to sit on top of the lid of my camper trailer when I go on trips, and now I can take my little mountain bike with me for, you know, riding around the places where I'm staying, or you want to do a zip in and out of town without having to drive in. Now I've got a bike, and this is actually a bike you've actually got to ride. There's no battery attached to this one, but just how I like it, get a bit of exercise on the way. So yeah, very simple. All it was is a length of box tube, which I had that at home, got a few lengths of that. So I just cut a length of that to suit the length of my lid of my camper trailer here. The only thing I've had to buy for it is the fork mount, where the forks drop into there, but when the wheel's taken out, they sit into there, and it's as solid as a rock. You know, it's not going to go anywhere. So the back wheel, it just drops down in a slot. I just cut a slot out in the back in there. Got a nice bit of rubber insert in there, which gives a bit more grip, bit more softer ride. And another little tip too, which I've got a few mates with mountain bikes that travel with their bikes and the front wheel out of them, is I've made a little spacer to go in between the brake pads while the disc isn't in there, to stop the brake pads from dropping out. So that was a hot tip which I was totally unaware of. So make sure you're thinking about that if you're going to travel for the first time with a bike that's got disc brakes. Think about your brake pads and how they're going to stay in there while you're traveling. So we'll just go through some of the pros and cons about having it sitting up here on the lid of my camper trailer. So firstly, I suppose, with one of the pros with having it sitting up here on the lid of my camper trailer totally out of the way, I've looked at, you know, bike racks that I could have bought, and you know, I could have got one that could have mounted down there on the drawbar. Yeah, it's a lot nice and low to the ground down there, but the only thing I'm not too keen on that idea, especially with this style camper trailer with my lift up lids, depending on what design of car bike rack you get, it can be a bit awkward sometimes to get the doors open, the lids open. So wasn't keen on that idea. But another big one for me with not having it down there is a weight saving off the drawbar, which again then goes on to your tow ball weight and all that sort of thing. So I'd much rather it sitting up here, nicely balanced, the weight's nicely balanced out across the wheels. I mean, what are we talking about? Probably the bike may weigh probably less than 20. It's probably about a 40 odd kilo combined, 40, maybe 50 kilo combined between the bike and the rack. So much rather it sitting up here than an extra 40 or 50 sitting down there on my drawbar. So that's one of the pros with having my bike sitting up here on the lid of my camper trailer. And then just one of the cons that I suppose that I've got to be aware of with it sitting up here on the lid of my camper trailer is got to be a little bit aware of overhead heights, you know, when I'm traveling through. But look, when I'm driving down roads and things, you know, not going to be any issues at all. But again, it's not really all that high. From the top of my seat up there to the ground, I'm looking at about 2.6. So it's not really overly that high. So I'm not overly really concerned about the height situation with it being sitting up here. So that's really a bit. Not many pros and cons with it sitting up here, but it works an absolute treat for what I want it for. So there you go, guys. That's my DIY bike rack that I've made, and it works a treat. Thanks very much for watching. Catch you in the next one. Hooroo.